A trial is going on in Colorado over a lawsuit brought by a group seeking to remove Donald Trump from the ballot in 2024. Well, it's happening. The first state, Colorado, is deciding on whether or not Donald Trump should be disqualified from even appearing on the ballot in 2024. Now, what is this about? Then we'll dive into day one of the trial. The 14th Amendment, as we've talked about, prohibits an individual from holding office if, while they previously held elected office, they participated in or gave support to insurrectionists. Here is Section 3 of the 14th Amendment. No person shall be a senator or representative in Congress or elector of president and vice president or hold any office, civil or military, under the United States or under any state who, having previously taken an oath, and by the way, it's quite the extensive sentence, as a member of Congress or as an officer of the United States or as a member of any state legislature or as an executive or judicial officer of any state, support the Constitution of the United States, shall engage in insurrection or rebellion against the same or given aid or comfort to the enemies thereof. But Congress may, by a vote of 2/3 of each house, remove such disability. And I think it's very fair to say Donald Trump gave aid or comfort to the January 6th insurrectionists, considering it was his lies that incited them to do what they did. Not to mention it being a part of a larger attempt to prevent the peaceful transfer of power by Donald Trump and his allies. I will, as I always am though, be real with you, extremely unlikely that Trump is removed from the ballot in one state, much less some of the battleground states that will decide the election. And you understand why, even though what Trump did was horrendous and blatantly so. Disqualifying the presumptive nominee from one of the two major parties from the ballot is obviously very severe. So judges will likely act in a hesitant manner because of how serious it is. As a reminder, though, even conservative legal experts like former Judge Michael Luttig have said there is a strong case for disqualification. Again, Trump attempted to prevent the peaceful transfer of power through multiple schemes, some of which he's now being prosecuted for. And all of these different actions and all this different rhetoric culminated in January 6th. With that being said, here is CNN breaking down the latest.
A trial to determine whether the 14th Amendment's insurrectionist ban applies to former President Donald Trump is set to begin later today in Denver. This historic long-shot case could block him from Colorado's presidential ballot in 2024. A group of Colorado voters filing this lawsuit arguing the Republican frontrunner is disqualified from serving as president again because of his role in the January 6th attack. Trump has denied any wrongdoing regarding that insurrection. CNN's Marshall Cohen is in Washington. Marshall, what should we expect today?
Hey, Jessica, good morning. This is an unprecedented moment in American history. The trial actually just kicked off a few minutes ago in Denver, Colorado. A group of challengers there trying to keep Donald Trump off the ballot. You're looking at live pictures right now, by the way, from that courtroom. The argument from these challengers is that the 14th Amendment explicitly disqualifies anyone who supported or engaged in an insurrection from serving again in public office in this country. They ratified it after the Civil War. It was used extensively in the 1800s against Confederate soldiers and politicians, but it hasn't been used in a very long time since then. That's why a lot of people feel like it could be a long shot. But Jessica, this case survived multiple motions to dismiss, and it has reached the trial stage.
Regardless of how this ends up turning out, it's obviously a truly historic moment. In a court of law, it's being weighed whether or not a presidential candidate is even qualified to run for office. But even more wild is the reason why his anti-democratic actions when he was previously the sitting president. That's what's being weighed right now. And the reason I will repeat those sorts of things is because sometimes it's easy to forget how unprecedented and stunning the moment is that we're currently in. The leading contender in one of the two major parties for the presidential nomination is a civilly liable rapist, liable for business fraud, criminally indicted 4 times, 2 of those times for attempting to block the peaceful transfer of power and install himself the president. And litigation is currently going on in multiple states deciding if he's even able to run for president based on an attempted insurrection that he incited. Crazy stuff. Don't allow yourself to normalize that because it's what's going on. Now, as far as the specifics of what took place so far at trial, sort of what you'd expect, the lawyer representing free speech for people that's making the case for Trump to be disqualified argue that Trump's actions on and around January 6th justified disqualification, while the lawyer representing Trump shockingly argued that they didn't. Here's this from CNN. Lawyers for the Republican and independent voters, and that's important to note, these are Republican and independent voters being represented by this lawsuit, who filed the lawsuit, said in their opening statements that their goal is to ensure Colorado has a fair election among eligible candidates. Their case is backed by left-leaning watchdog group Citizens for Responsibility and Ethics in Washington. Quote, our Constitution prevents people who betrayed their solemn oath, as Trump did here, from serving in office again, said Eric Olson, an attorney for the challengers. And then also after the opening statements, you had a U.S. Capitol Police officer and Congressman Eric Swalwell appear to outline their experiences on January 6th. Apparently, by the way, the trial is expected to last for about a week, and the judge said she wants to have a decision made by Thanksgiving. So very soon, we'll have such an important decision made on this issue before the GOP primary in March. Now, again, if the judge rules in favor of the group bringing the lawsuit against Donald Trump, it will only apply to Colorado. We'll see how other things go across the country. There was a good quote from the Colorado Secretary of State. I want to read you from Jenna Griswold, who got asked about whether or not the case was appropriate and said, quote, it's an appropriate mechanism to file a lawsuit. What is inappropriate is trying to steal an election from the American people, inciting an insurrection, having a scheme of fake electors, having conversations about stealing or seizing voting equipment. Those things are unreasonable. A court case like we're seeing play out here, I think, is just fine. And she's, of course, exactly right. This is the process that we have. We'll see how the judge decides on it and how other cases turn out that are being brought across the country, but absolutely appropriate for the lawsuit to be brought. Now, you can imagine all of this is very stressful for Donald Trump. This is just another thing on top of a massive stack of legal issues that he's dealing with. And I guess if we're giving him the benefit of the doubt as much as possible for some reason, that could help to explain all that stress on his brain, why his brain is not functioning so well. Here's just a few examples from over the weekend.
Viktor Orban. Did anybody ever hear of Viktor Orban? He's the head of Hungary. Hungary fronts on both Ukraine and Russia.
Trump also had some problems with U.S. geography as well. During that same speech, he appeared to forget which state he was in, saying he was in Sioux Falls, which is located in South Dakota, while he was actually speaking from Sioux City, Iowa.
Well, thank you very much, and a very big hello to a place where we've done very well, Sioux Falls. Thank you very much, Sioux Falls. So Sioux City, let me ask you, how many people come from Sioux City? Colleges and universities will purge the anti-Semitism and pro-terrorism. What you're doing, the terrorism,
Not only is he an anti-democratic wannabe dictator, his brain is melting at a rapid pace. Don't forget to become a member at lukebeasleyshow.com/membership that supports the show and get you access the daily bonus show. Plus, follow me on Threads at Luke Beasley Official, Instagram at Luke Beasley Official, Twitter or X at Luke P. Beasley, and sign up for the Beasley Brief at lukebeasleyshow.com/brief. And I'll talk to you next time.